Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's by user Affectionate Basil 34. My boyfriend, 43 male, won't let me meet his daughter, 11 female, or go over to his house. Hi everyone, I, 41 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 43 male, for a year and a half. For context, 3 years ago, I got out of a terrible marriage of 13 years, but the divorce finalized about a month after we started dating. He's such a nice guy. He's kind and funny and has a good job, and he was totally willing to take things at my pace since he knew I was affected by my ex-husband. For a while, my only complaint was that he smoked, which I don't like. But once I told him, he immediately stopped smoking while at my house, which I'm sure was hard. However, as time goes on, it gets harder and harder to ignore the fact that I haven't ever been to his house or met his daughter, 11 female. It really bothers me, especially since he's met all my kids, 21 female, 21 non-binary, 15 female, and 12 female, many times now. They even have inside jokes, and my oldest daughter baked him a loaf of sourdough bread for him for Christmas. He also comes over to my house frequently. I've tried to talk to him about it, but all he says is that his house is messy. At first, that made sense to me, since my house is typically fairly clean, but I'm not bothered by the mess at all, and he knows this. I'm more bothered by not meeting his daughter. I'm not even sure if she knows about me. I knew that it would take a while for me to meet her, so I'm trying to be understanding. A few weeks ago, he invited me to her martial arts event, so I could finally meet her. Then, 2 days before, he told me we had gotten the date wrong and we missed it. I was really upset, but he didn't seem to be. I'm not sure what to do. It might be her who doesn't want to meet me, which I would totally understand. When we started dating, I waited a bit before telling my kids. I told them they could meet him whenever they wanted, and 2 months after that, they asked to meet him. I just wonder if he doesn't want me to meet her or it's the other way around. He keeps saying we'll meet soon, but it hasn't happened. I don't think this is anything to end a relationship over, but it does hurt my feelings. Okay, OP, I totally understand that when you're divorced or you have a child from a different relationship that you want to protect them from any new boyfriends or girlfriends or stuff like that. However, at some point, he has to be honest with you and tell you what is going on. I mean, you guys have been dating for a year and a half and you've never seen his home? That sounds really weird and very dodgy, to be honest. I don't know what it is, OP, but from the information that you've given us, something clearly doesn't add up. How come you've never been to his home or even met his daughter outside of the home, maybe for an ice cream or something, but he has met your whole family, he's been to your house, he sleeps over, and he's got inside jokes with your kids? I don't know, again, sounds kind of weird to me. What about you guys? What do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. No Concentrate 5928 says, I think you need to do some detective work and find out for sure that he isn't married. I discovered last year, the divorced man I had been seeing for 9 months had always been married. I was so happy with him, but it all came crashing down when his wife found out. The red flags were that I felt he kept me a secret from his friends and family, and he avoided me visiting him at his house. He lived 5 hours away, so he got away with it. His social media was very bland, so that gave no clues either. I hope this isn't the case for you, but you need to know for sure. And OP responds, most of that is true for us, except for the social media. He posts his daughter a lot. He's never posted a picture of me or his ex-wife. Thanks for the perspective. I'm sorry that happened to you. If you're the kind of person who would give advice to a stranger, you definitely deserve someone who treats you wonderfully. I'll do some sleuthing tomorrow and probably update the post then if I figure anything out. Toki Warthus GF says, a year and a half and you've never been to his house? You don't even have his address? And then the lying about getting the dates wrong? Yeah, nah, that was to get you off his ass about it. He wasn't upset about it because he was there with his wife. Storyteller is Taken says, rather than following him or spying, be direct. Sit down and tell him that you want to visit his house. Say you're feeling anxious, worried, weirded out, that he is such a big part of your life, but that you're a sideline in his. Be honest and let him know that the current situation is not enough. From his answers, you can decide what to do. If this isn't enough for you, be honest with yourself and respect yourself enough to end it. You sound like an awesome mother and lovely person, so know that you deserve to be a part of a partner's life, to be a point of pride to them and to them fully, not just a facet of them. Additional information from OP's comments. I don't think he's still with his ex-wife, unless she's unbothered by him spending the night at my place 3 to 4 times a week, typically. He has his daughter on weekends, so he only stays over during the week when she's at her mom's. I mentioned it to one of my children and they joked that he was secretly Ed Gein. Now, I totally get that he might be embarrassed by the mess, or maybe it's a small place or something, but it's not like my place is perfect. Yeah, it's pretty clean, but it's old and not the nicest. I feel that a year and a half without being presented is a deal breaker, but I'm not sure. I haven't dated in almost 15 years, so I'm not sure what kind of timing is appropriate. I just let my daughters choose when they wanted to meet him, and I let him come over after I knew I could trust him. He does post pictures of and with her on Facebook frequently, and she's his phone background, and he showed me videos of her doing martial arts. I wish this wasn't happening since he's so wonderful in every other way. I wish he could tell me what's the problem. Maybe she's not ready. I work with young teens and I know that things like this can be hard and complicated, especially since she's only 11. I talked it through with my 12 and 15-year-olds before they met him to make sure they were comfortable. If it's her, I totally understand. If it's him, I don't really know how to feel. I guess I'm better with kids than adults. It just makes me feel like he's keeping me at arm's length or preparing to break up with me. I've asked him several times over our relationship, and every time I kind of feel like I'm being pushy about it. He seemed at first genuinely embarrassed by his house being messy, which makes sense. If you're not comfortable with someone yet, then of course you don't want them seeing your mess. But now, it's getting a little ridiculous for him to think I would be appalled by his house unless it's some kind of biohazard. I assume it isn't, since his daughter stays there. I was hoping eventually his daughter would stay over at my place as well on the weekends. I'm not a very confrontational person, so pushing issues is hard for me. I definitely view our relationship as serious. I wouldn't let just anybody in my house or with my kids, especially alone. I thought he felt the same way. We've talked about in the future him moving into my house. I was going to convert one of my guest rooms into a room for his daughter. He seemed to like the idea. He spends a lot of time at my house and he's met my family, mostly over FaceTime because of COVID. He doesn't have a lot of friends and his family lives out of state. We've talked about the future and he expressed interest in at some point getting married again, and I told him that I wasn't sure when I'd be ready to get married again. Okay, so the community smelled something fishy just like I did, but they put a name on it. This guy's married. So how about we move on with the update to see what happened next. Hi everyone, I didn't know how to make a throwaway account, so no more comments on the last post. I'm shocked by how many comments there were. Most agree on the same thing, and unfortunately, they were all right. I was going to wait until tomorrow to talk to him since my youngest daughters would be out of the house with friends, but he got here before my kids got home from gymnastics, so I sent my older daughter money for them to go see a movie. A lot of people thought I was being stupid or silly for not realizing he had a wife still, but he spent so much time here. He was off work a couple of days last week and was here the whole time, watching movies with my kids and helping me do yard work. He was here on Christmas, although only half the day. How could you keep so much time a secret? I mean, it's unthinkable. Anyway, he got home and I started to talk to him about it. How it made me feel like I was just a casual part of his life, where he was a huge part of mine. He assured me I was very important to him, but still tried to make excuses. I told him I'm sorry, but this actually is a big deal. It might not have seemed that way to him since I tried really hard not to be pushy, but it really hurt me. Then he said, "If it's so important to you, you can come over sometime soon." That sounded good, but then I thought about how it was always sometime soon with his daughter as well. So I said, we need to make a plan for me to come over this week and he needs to stick to it. He looked really uncomfortable and said I couldn't stay the night because of my kids. I said they almost always spend one night a week with the neighbors. They have 2 kids, 16 female and 12 male, and they're my kids' best friends, so I could go over then. He got really quiet and I could tell he was trying really hard to come up with something else. I said, "You're still married?" and he said yes. Then he left without saying anything. I don't know what he told his wife. I think I should tell her, so I'm trying to figure out a way to contact her. I know I might come off as naive and silly, but I am genuinely shocked. He seemed so genuine. I called my older kids to tell them, and they were upset, but said they were proud of me. They know it's hard for me to do stuff like that. My younger girls are still out and told me they might get dinner out too, so I'm just thinking alone. It might be hard for someone reading to understand since they never met him, but I really did love him. I did see a comment concerned that I introduced him to my kids too early, which I think might be true. After 3 months, they guessed I was seeing someone, so I told them yes, I was. 3 months later, I told them they could meet him when they wanted to. 2 months after that, they asked to meet him. So it was 8 months before they met him. That might be soon, I'm not sure. But I didn't think I should hide him if they wanted to meet him. Looking back, maybe I should have. I might wait longer next time, if there is a next time. I was perfectly content with my kids, my family, and my cat. I think I'll be good with that for a while. But don't feel too bad, I'll be happy that way. Thanks for everything, guys. I wish it was a better ending. Aw man, Opie, I'm so sorry that happened to you, but good for you, like your daughter say, for standing up for yourself. That was well done. All the best to you, Opie, in the future, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Respect5Eva. Ex-boyfriend insists I play a game he assumes he's better at. I complied. Every once in a while I think about this story while I'm idly playing Sudoku on my phone and it makes me smile. I realize it's perfect malicious compliance / petty revenge material. I don't want to go into too much detail here, but some background is needed. A few years ago, when I was in grad school, I dated a man who was several years older than me who had just finished his master's at the same school. Completely different program, but both in the realm of STEM, and started a company based on that work. He seemed to have a chip on his shoulder about the fact that he went back to school in his late 20s and the fact that I was in a PhD program. I need to emphasize, I don't think I was better or smarter than him in any way, and I thought and still think he is incredibly smart and his company does fascinating work. But he still projected this inferiority complex on me, and it was one of many things that soured our relationship. He was obsessed with feeling smarter than me and bringing me down a peg. The relationship ran its course within a year and the breakup was messy, but he insisted on remaining friends despite a lot of obvious tension between us. One day, he asked me to help him pick up a moving truck he needed for work and I agreed. But when I got in the car, we were kind of quiet for a couple of minutes, so I pulled out my phone and finished the Sudoku game I had up in my browser. For some context, I am incredibly good at Sudoku relative to most people. This is because I obsessively solved Sudoku puzzles as a kid and just had big books of them to solve on long bus rides to school, and it's my go-to game to play while waiting in line, pooping, etc. I don't really correlate this with intelligence. My brain is just trained to recognize the patterns, and solving them is soothing. He looked over and saw I was playing and asked what app I played on. I said I just play on a certain website I like, and when he asked why I don't use a Sudoku app, I tried to be as neutral as possible in my response and said that the website had a nice spread of difficulty, and that every app I tried had either been all too easy or too hard. Admittedly, it's almost always too easy, but because of the aforementioned inferiority complex, I was hedging this on purpose. He had a kind of, "Oh really?" response and insisted I try the app he has on his phone because he was sure I would find it hard, so I maliciously complied. I opened up the hardest setting of puzzle in his app and solved it in about a minute, beating the record on his phone by at least a minute and a half. I showed it to him and he seemed alarmed and basically said I got lucky, so I played several more times so that my times flooded the fastest times list until his times were all gone. His shock and frustration at this was satisfying on its own, but many months later, when I had long forgotten about it, he randomly sent me a screenshot of his puzzle in that app with a faster time, except it was for the easiest puzzle setting. So, of course, to be petty, I immediately downloaded the app, played on the easiest setting, beat his time by a significant margin again, and sent a screenshot. Was this mean? Maybe. Was it satisfying? Yes. Wow, OP, you were absolutely right. That was the perfect balance between malicious compliance and petty revenge. Thank you so much for sharing, it was awesome. Now let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user SuddenPineapple821. The time I made my ex mad by making friends with the woman he cheated on me with. In my early 20s, I lived with my ex-boyfriend. I was gullible and believed every word that came out of his mouth. I believed him when he said he worked late hours and came back at 4 AM and made up excuses to keep me from meeting his friends and family and let him isolate me and hide me away. Well, one day his grandmother passes away from natural causes. This is pre-COVID. And he was devastated, so I asked if he wanted company or to be left alone to grieve. He, of course, wanted to go alone, and so I let him. I got a call from someone who knew both me and my ex, informing me that he did in fact take his girlfriend to the funeral, but that person was not me. She had been introduced to his family, taken on date after date, and he had played dad to her 1-year-old. My heart sunk right to my feet that day, and so did hers once she found out about me. My friend got us in contact and we talked for hours. We laughed, cried, and in the end decided to dump that man and be friends. He absolutely hated it. We became extremely close after that. I took her to her 21st and drunk sat her after she got sick all over me, and we took each other on a date and even to a concert that her family got tickets for. To this day, I have her in my phone as the wife, even though we are both married to wonderful men. Well, OP, to me that sounds like an awesome revenge. You got a really good friend out of it, a friend for life, and you got rid of a douchebag, so good for you. Thanks for sharing, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.